Acts 17, Paul said, "For as I walked around and looked carefully at the objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription to an unknown God. So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship. And this is what I'm going to proclaim to you." This is a great connection point. Preaching is always taking what is relevant, flowing in line. That's great. It's the same as evangelism and share the gospel message to anybody. That you take what is relevant to them and flowing in with them. You don't want to bring a new subject of conversation suddenly out of nowhere. But Paul is very much flowing in line with what he sees, because there's a lot of idols. And there's one particular idol, this was to the unknown God. So Paul used that as a conversation point. In our evangelism and the preaching of the Word of God, we always needed a beach point, a connection point, an entry point to talk about the gospel in a conversation, The reality is Paul is talking to a group of people who are seeking God. They are very spiritual. They are putting all kinds of idols, trying to find who that God is, etc. But to us today, Americans or people around the world are not that hungry spiritually. What do we do then? Well, in actuality, people today may not be so hungry spiritually for God, but they are hungry spiritually for what the idol can offer them. So we can connect it from that point of view. Because today, if you're looking around New York City or anywhere, people are always looking for something that will give them satisfaction, give them pleasure and leisure, give them, for instance, money, sex, and power. This is the three points that defined major city culture. People want more money, people want more sex, and more power. Okay, in fact, all the movies are really based on these three themes, really. So those are the equivalent of the idols that Paul said. Paul talked about. You are seeking satisfaction from all these three idols or others, but they don't give you. So how does Paul says, so you are ignorant. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples built by human hands. So same thing. You may not be seeking God. In reality, you are seeking. The idols give you satisfaction and joy, but you can't find it in them because it is not full. It is not because it is not something that really can fulfill your dreams and your aspirations. I know in the city today, people long for the dreams for children, for jobs, and house and whatever, health. All these are very legitimate. Everything the world gives us today are the second tier, third tier. Medication, money, and all this. We need them. I'm not saying we don't. We definitely need them. But they are all providence of God. Even the money we have, the medication, the jobs, are the providence, are provided by God, through this world. But eventually you got to find the one who gives us all this. The one who goes beyond and much bigger than the idols in this world, who is actually affectionate, who's looking for love and joy and peace, who wants to share his love with us. Okay? So, possibly you can't find it in these idols. And God is not served by human hands as if he needed anything. But rather, God himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. But God gives us life. If you want fulfillment in life, go to God. Don't go to these things. These things are just manifestations, one of the substance, very way down the stream. The real thing is God. So Paul talks about from one man he made all the nations. We'll talk about that later on in other video. But I just want to say to you that the equivalents of the idols that Paul talked about in Acts 17 in Athens, Athenian idols, lots of them, and even to one is to the unknown God. We have too, a lot of idols, but we just don't call it God. We call it, all this games, football, parties, drinking, lust, money, more money, hatred, and all this idolatry. We think that they'll give us real happiness. You can find the real happiness in them. It's having a spouse, having a wife or husband will not give you the ultimate happiness you long for. You need the God who gives all this happiness to us.